Keith, I would like to believe that there is a soul, but I was trained as a brain scientist in neurophysiology, and so my intellectual inclination is to materialism, physicalism, that what we think is the mind is just the product of the brain. How do you view it as both a philosopher and a theologian?
As a philosopher, I would actually say that your starting point is perception. It's a set of perceptions, a set of concepts. And from that, you build up a picture of what the world is like. But you can never get rid of consciousness. Whatever view you come up with on body and mind, consciousness is not reducible to particles which are publicly observable in space and time. I'll just not give way on that, because it seems to me so obvious that I have to say, I don't see how anybody can deny it.
You've used the analogy between mind and matter as between subject and object. Help me understand what that means.
People start from thinking that people who put consciousness first assume that we are usually Cartesian dualists. That's the phrase which is ruled out usually.
Right. Substance dualism.
So you have a mind and you have a body, and you've got to get the two together, and you do it so someplace in the brain, and of course that doesn't work. When Descartes said, I am a thing that thinks, he wasn't thinking of mind and body as two different substances at all. He was thinking of the thinker and the perceiver as the subject, which is aware of its perceptions and which is engaged in having its thoughts. So what you've got is a subject thinking. The subject is not a different substance. Where it all goes wrong is to think, well, you've got matter over here, you've got mind over there. How do you fit them together?
Right.
So subject and object are always together. There's no subject without an object. I mean, there's no mind without some objectivity, some environment in which it's embodied.
Does a soul fit into that structure?
I think that's what the soul is. Aristotle called it the intellectual soul in a human being, as that which thinks, which has the capacity of thinking abstractly and of deciding. And anything which has those capacities is a soul. So why shouldn't you say that there's a subject who has those capacities embodied in a brain and a world like this, and it's that embodied subject which is the soul.
That's not the traditional definition.
It is,
sorry. It is not the common perceived definition.
Oh, that's true. But I mean, the common perceived definition is that souls fly out of your body and go through the window. Popular folk beliefs about the soul have no relation to the actual theological traditions in the Abrahamic faith.
In the Hebrew Bible, the word nephesh, which is translated soul sometimes, talks about nephesh dying.
Nephesh dying?
Yeah, that the soul can die.
I mean, that's true. I mean, it's particularly the Hebrew tradition that the soul is not another thing. I mean, perhaps Plato's to blame. I love Plato, but the idea that a soul is in a star and comes down to have a body, which is the tomb of the soul, and then is released to have a better life without its body, that is totally not either a Jewish or a Christian or a Muslim belief about the soul. The soul is an embodied subject of intellectual and moral agency. You need to tread a very narrow line, I'd say theologically, between saying that souls are better without their bodies, which is wrong, or saying souls are nothing but their bodies, but that souls are the embodied agents which are created by God.